climate resilience. Welcome to the first webinar of the Climate Resilient South Fraser series. The series is being delivered by BC Green Business in partnership with Community Futures South Fraser. And I would like to begin by acknowledging that I'm joining you all today from the traditional and unceded territories of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples. Today we recognize this land is of the Esquimalt and Songhees nations. I will also have my colleague share a link to the First Peoples map of BC here in the chat. It is an interactive map of Indigenous languages, arts, and heritage in BC. So yeah, take some time to explore it and perhaps learn something new about the history of the region that you reside in. And a bit about myself. My name is Deep Chahal, and I am a business associate and project manager with Synergy Foundation. And for the webinar today, this is the main agenda that we have. I've broken it down into 5 segments to keep it light and interactive. So please feel free to engage during our activity and Q&A time. Right. So through this series, we hope to provide an overview of how and where sustainability can be incorporated in your business. It can be difficult getting started on your sustainability plan, so hopefully we can leave you with a couple of key takeaways to help you get started on your journey and make a positive impact on the environment. And the topic for today is circular economy. So we will be going over the basic principles of circular economy, the loop back systems, and some examples from local businesses here in Fraser Valley. And we have 2 more webinars coming up. The next one being Climate Action 101, which is next Thursday at the same time, 5 to 6 o'clock, and then Taking Action in Your Business on October 24th. And a bit about Synergy Foundation. So Synergy Foundation was founded in 2013 with a mission to share ideas, spark innovation, and activate change to kind of steer our economy and communities towards a more regenerative future. And we have 3 core programs that help us, towards this mission. The first one being BC Green Business, which supports sustainable business practices across the province. And then we have FED, which supports urban agriculture. And then Project Zero, which offers programming to grow the circular economy in our province. Hey, so I'll just begin by introducing BC Green Business. So BC Green Business is a nonprofit environmental certification program, and we work one-on-one with businesses to enhance their sustainability initiatives. And so this is kind of what the certification process generally looks like, the typical time commitment needed from a business. So we schedule the site visit. The site visit process itself is about an hour, and then we create a custom suggested actions report for the business. Followed by a couple of weeks for businesses to take up any action and improve their score. After which we finalize the certification and then promote their environmental metrics and then share various marketing assets as well as their certification and decals with them. And these site visits can be done virtually or in person as well. And these are some of the key areas of focus, building and operations. So that would look that would look into kind of like the lighting and the equipment in the business. And the waste section, we kind of delve into the waste management practices and the recycling practices. Water section is all about increasing your water efficiency, so reducing your water consumption. Purchasing and products looks into kind of the eco-friendliness of the products that are being purchased. And climate action would include actions such as measuring your greenhouse gas emissions. And then finally, a social section, which kind of makes the program a bit more holistic. So we look at things such as, community engagement, employee benefits, and so on. And these are the sectors that we work with right now. So offices, restaurants, retail stores, spas and salons, food and beverage processors, grocery stores. We recently introduced our general checklist. So these are for service-based businesses or goods manufacturer because yeah, we saw a gap and we had to turn away a few businesses who wanted to incorporate sustainability. So to kind of include them into the program, we made these general checklists and then finally the fleet-based business checklist. And here's just an example of one of our members from Victoria, 49 Below Ice Cream. They are certified under the restaurant sector. And over the past couple of years, they've incorporated various actions, such as creating a purchasing policy for any of their new products, conducting a waste audit, and another cool initiative was that they partnered with a local grocery store to upcycle unsellable produce and make it into ice cream. And so if the program sounds of any interest to you, and if you would like one of our verifiers to conduct a site visit, we have 15 fully funded certifications available, thanks to Community Futures South Fraser. So these are for businesses located in Chilliwack and Abbotsford. And then we will also be in Abbotsford for an in-person workshop on November 21st that involve Abbotsford Symposium. Right. So introduction to the circular economy. For this part of the presentation, we will go over what circular economy really means, talk through some circular business solutions, look at examples from the Fraser Valley. We'll have a small activity to assess your waste, and then finally talk about some key takeaways from today's presentation. Right. So, so the problem that we have today is that as of 2021, the mass of human-made things, so from pavement, apartments, any electronics, was found to outweigh that of all living beings and biomass. So think forests, oceans, and animals, which basically tells us that we are extracting far too many virgin resources, most of which are destined for pollution with a current linear economic model. And the solution is to decouple economic growth and natural resource consumption. So this is the said linear economy model, which can also be described as take, make, waste. So, generally how we see it working is we extract materials from the earth, we make products out of them, distribute them, customers consume those items, and then they generally end up as waste in the landfill. And comparing that to the circular economy model, where raw materials and manufactured goods are designed to remain in the system. And to do this, we use processes like reduced consumption, reuse and repair, redistribution, reconditioning, recycling, all of which are powered by renewable energy. And we have 5 re-entry mechanisms here. If you look at the diagram, you can see the inner loops are smaller. These areas of circularity are prioritized first as they keep the goods and materials in use at their highest value. And recycling is seen as the last option. As you see, it's the outermost loop since it's the most energy intensive process and requires major changes to the goods. When all other re-entry mechanisms have been exhausted, recycling is utilized. Yeah, so as of the Circularity Gap report in 2023, our world is only 7.2% circular. This means that all of our that of all products, materials, and resources in existence, only a small percentage is re-entering the economy. Nearly 93% of all products and materials are destined to be discarded at the end of the life. Not only does that mean we're filling up our landfills and polluting our natural environment, but we're also missing out on some untapped value of these resources. So why shift to circular economy? Well, Number one reason being meeting climate targets. So, according to the IPCC, to limit our global warming to 1.5 degrees, we need to cut our emissions by nearly half by 2030. And circular economy offers promising opportunities to get us headed in that direction. So, if we increase our circularity from the 7% that we were talking about to 17%, that has the potential to reduce global emissions by 39%. And then comes the economic potential. So according to Accenture, the circular economy is a $4.5 trillion opportunity. The linear economy has resulted in huge underutilization of products and natural resources. And by changing our perception of waste, we can shift to an economy that recognizes the untapped potential and reduces unnecessary overconsumption that is fueling the climate crisis. And here's a few more benefits of circular economy. So emission reductions that we just talked about, the potential in reducing greenhouse gas emissions by nearly 39%, increased revenue streams, regional waste targets achieved. It sparks innovation, and then there's more entrepreneurial opportunities. Supply chain resiliency. This is something that we saw in the height of COVID, the importance of having localized supply chain, localized waste management so that our waste doesn't end up going offshore and can be processed within the province or locally, and then creating new green jobs. Okay, so let's take another look at our circular economy model and dive deeper into the five re-entry processes for products and materials. So for each re-entry process, I'm going to go over how you can implement this in your existing business operation, and then share some examples of businesses that exemplify these re-entry processes. And I want to note that we should prioritize the inner loops, which require less energy and therefore have the smallest environmental impact. Okay, so looking at the reduced loop back, which focuses on eliminating waste before it is even created. So if you look at our purchasing decisions and consumption, we can start by thinking about things like, are we wasting products or consuming inefficiently? And is there unnecessary packaging on the products that we purchase or that are being sold? Not only can this loop back system reduce waste, but it also can help reduce costs. So yeah, eliminating waste before it occurs. So this can be done by reducing dependency on virgin materials, eliminating unnecessary packaging, creating menu designs that reduce food waste, bulk refill amenities for guest rooms, and then energy and water efficiency. So here we have some examples. On the far left is a device called Frylow, which is used to extend the life of fryer oil. So this helps commercial kitchens cut down fryer oil usage by nearly 50%. It uses antioxidizing process that doubles fryer life, meaning that kitchens don't have to replace their fryer oil as frequently. And then in the middle, we've got sugar sheet, which is printer paper that is derived from waste byproduct from sugarcane processing, and it does not involve any trees. So no virgin material is used. And then bulk on the right, you can see bulk amenities being used in hospitality services rather than single-use products that are often discarded. And yeah, and there's other ways of achieving reducing your waste would be advocating to your suppliers. So, reusable pallets and pallet wrap, eliminating plastic packaging, reducing the amount of packaging that is used. Here's a picture of a reusable pallet wrap, and these things can be used over 2,500 times, which would be the equivalent of eliminating over 130 kilometers of plastic shrink wrap. So that is per reusable pallet wrap used. And here's a local example. Pick Eco Refills based out of Chilliwack, offers refill service for any household or personal care products. So, if you run a B&B, this is a great way to reduce the amount of waste that is generated through single-use shampoo or conditioners. Instead, you can switch to a bulk refill model. And Arnold Rentals, another locally owned and operated business. So this is a great option for, farmers, gardeners, or anyone who doesn't, you don't normally need access to certain equipment. You can use the rental services and reduce the overall demand for new equipment purchase. Right, so moving on to the second loop back system, reuse and repair. So before buying a new product, we ask ourselves, do we already own something that we can use for this? And before buying a replacement, is this something that we can repair? And so essentially things like simple upkeep and maintenance can be used to extend the life of goods that we own. Um, So in real life examples, restaurants and cafes can adopt reusable container services. Um, and then, offer companies can offer branded reusable water bottles to guests instead of single-use items. Reusable plates, cup, and cutlery can be used in for your employees in your kitchen or your guest areas, and determine if the materials that you have can be reused on site for a different function. And the second part of this loopback system being repaired, this repair can not only help ensure that items are used for the entirety of their lives. So, opt for items that have a long useful life and that can be repaired if needed. And before buying a replacement, first see if the item can be repaired. And then, bringing your community together and pool knowledge to keep items in use for as long as possible. And then finally, see if there's any local maker spaces that can help with repairs. Here's a couple local examples again. Matsky Ag Repair, they have a team of certified technicians to repair any farm equipment. So, and they serve Fraser Valley and Greater Vancouver area. And then we also have Abbotsford Appliance Repair. So, for any home appliances, using an appliance repair company helps extend their useful life and reduce overall demand for new appliances. And moving on to the third loop back system, redistribute. So for any products that are obsolete to one consumer, they may have value for someone else. A lot of the time, items that we consider waste can be redistributed to new users who will find value in them. So, this can be done by reselling, donating, or sharing with others. And here's a really wholesome example from Abbotsford, Fraser Valley Gleaners. And what they do is take donated surplus and non-marketable vegetables, and with help of their volunteers, they convert it into dehydrated vegetable mix, and that's then distributed as humanitarian aid around the world. And every year they save over 2 million pounds of surplus vegetables, which is an incredible number. And then moving on to recondition. So this is basically products being taken in to be reconditioned and upgraded for continued use. Here's a local example again, Todd's Furniture Refinishing. So they specialize in restoration or reconditioning of old furniture so that you can extend its lifespan and preserve it for many years to come. And then the final option available and the most energy intensive one is recycling. So for products that have reached the end of their useful life, they can be broken down into raw materials and re-enter the production process to make new products. An example would be eCycle, which is Canada's largest electronic recycler. They take various materials such as computers, laptops, phones, small appliances, and more. And by properly disposing your e-waste, you help the environment from harmful chemicals found in electronics like lead and mercury. And yeah, eCycle offers pickup services as well, which makes it more convenient for businesses to recycle their electronic waste. And then finally, we have Bicklins Biogas based in Chilliwack. And in the picture, you can see those are two digesters that they have, and they take dairy manure, chicken manure, and food waste to produce renewable natural gas, organic fertilizer pellets, and that has various benefits to the local community, including reduced odor, healthier soils, and sustainable waste management opportunities locally. Hey, so moving towards circularity. Why? So we do that by assessing our waste, and why is it important? So, in addition to reducing your environmental footprint, this can help your business identify opportunities to cut costs and find new potential revenue streams. Yeah, and this is essentially a four-point plan. So identifying your top waste streams, finding opportunities, prioritizing opportunities, and then taking action. So assessing your waste. So your business will have different levels of control over each of your waste stream. And one tool that you can use is the sphere of influence to determine which ones to address first, starting with the ones that you have control over and working your way out. So first we have control. These are waste streams that you control directly. So purchase, you can do that by purchasing items that are not wrapped in plastic, or you can reuse plastic wrap for fragile items. And then we move on to influence. So these are streams that you don't directly control, but you influence. So, providing employees with training on proper disposal and sorting the waste stream. That is something that you can influence. And then finally, adapt and advocate. What these are waste streams that you can only adapt to or advocate for change. So, talking to your suppliers to stop using plastic wrap and transition to a reusable material. And I just want to note that waste streams that fall in the adapt and advocate category are still important. For example, when more customers advocate for their suppliers to make a change, they're more likely to incorporate that. And here we have an example of a business that is um, basically they have a large waste stream of wood, so wooden pallets and wooden cutoffs. And this is basically to give you an example of how you can assess your own waste. So, starting by identifying your major waste streams, where they originate, their annual volume, and where they are sent to at the end of their life, and then considering how much that is costing you. So for this business, their major waste stream is wood, the origin being suppliers, and then through their manufacturing process, they have an annual volume of 6 bins per week. And at the end of the life, it is simply being sent to the landfill. And to determine the cost, they look at their dumpster space, and it fills about 1/3 of the space, as well as employee time to kind of like sort and discard the waste. And then moving on, identifying opportunities. So you have to identify the best reentry mechanism for each waste stream. So, whether it can be reduced, whether it can be repaired or reused, and, using your team to explore opportunities. So for this business specifically, they can reduce the number of products purchased using pellets. They can reuse and build a waste diversion station from the wooden cutoffs. They can create a new product line from the wooden cutoff. So, household goods or furniture or even garden beds. And then, or they could redistribute, create a post on their social media and offer the wood to the community for free. And then finally, there's recycling options, looking at local options that they can find. And then moving on, identifying value add opportunities. So, is there any missed opportunity for your business? What are you leaving on the table in terms of revenue? And where can you save money? So this is basically using circular economy to cut waste while improving the bottom line. So In this example, they are building waste diversion stations. They created a new product line from their wood cutoffs. And not only are they saving $150 per month on their disposal fees, but they are generating an additional $500 from selling the new products that they made. And then finally, it's looking at what actions you want to prioritize. So, you know, maybe you're motivated to collect the cutoffs and start a new product line. Or maybe you're motivated to advertise for free wood pickups because you don't have maybe the capacity to create these new to create a new product of the waste that you are generating, and creating a lead person for this project. So having an operations manager or a communications team in terms of advertising the free wood and pickups. And then making a timeline for your business. So number one and two, which is making a new product line or building a waste diversion station, those take more time. So that's something that maybe you can achieve by the end of the quarter. Whereas advertising for wood pickups wouldn't be as time consuming, and that's an action that you can incorporate immediately. And success metrics. So, by the end of this, by taking these actions, you are reducing, or this example business that we are talking about, reduce the amount of wood that they're sending to the landfill by 50%. Right. So here are some key takeaways when we talk about circular economy. It has significant untapped value and is a space worth investing time and resources in. Circular business solutions create opportunity to reduce expenses and create new revenue streams. And then businesses can take steps to take advantage of circular efficiencies by assessing, identifying, and mitigating their existing waste streams. Right. So that is the end of the circular economy presentation. Do we have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or add them in your chat here.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Thank you. Thanks for this. You were referring to some statistics, circularity gap report,
Yes.
just some stats like $4.5 trillion economy,
Mhm.
7.2%. Where did you get those statistics from?
Yeah, so the $4.5% trillion opportunity, that's from the Accenture report. And that is something that I can share the resources or the links to um, you know, the Accenture report. I can provide you links with that if you want to put in your email address. And then
Sure.
in terms of the statistic that I was talking about, increasing circularity to 17% from the current 7.2%, that has opportunity of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions for up to 39%. And that is from the 2023 Circularity Gap Report.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, Jared just shared the gap report in the chat below. Right. Any other questions here?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'd like to know, to get certified as a home-based service provider, what size of the business should be in order to be qualified to apply for a certification?
Did you say what size of the business?
Yes, because my business is super small, like a macro business, but I am interested to be certified.
Yeah, for sure. We don't have a minimum requirement. So we have many businesses that are just like one or two person operations. So yeah, there is no restriction based on the size of the business. And yeah, and if you're located in Abbotsford or Chilliwack, then you can avail our free certifications. We've had those for 15 businesses.
Would you be able to share the requirement?
Yeah, for sure. Jared, if you can share a link to the website, or yeah, you can also feel free to email us on the email link linked in the chat, and we
Thank
can
you.
set up a site visit for you. And yeah, and that's the link to our website. So that has information on how to apply to be a BC Green business and um, you know any other requirements that should be on there as well. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so if there are no other questions here, I'm gonna pass it on to our guest expert today. I would like to introduce Chef TJ. Chef TJ is a food service specialist and community leader. He owns Ono Vancouver, where he leverages his expertise and connections to make an impact in the food industry. His business services range from event catering, private dining, and the reroute home meal replacement, and they all fuel his community-minded goals. So, Chef TJ, I will let you take it from here. And I have your slides, so if you want, I can keep presenting, and you can just say next whenever you want me to advance your slide deck.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hopefully you all can hear me. I'm actually outside my patio deck. A little loud inside my house. I have two kids, so um, yeah. So just a little bit introduction of myself. My name is TJ Conway. I've been a chef in Vancouver for a little more than 24 years. And during COVID, I basically pivoted my business into diverting food for the community. Right during that time, me and a bunch of different chefs have been able to turn um, to basically start meal programs to be able to support um, nonprofits that have closed down their soup kitchens, and as well as being able to give back um, food to kids that were relying on the school meal program to be able to feed themselves that one nutritious meal that they get every single day. During that time is when things opened up in my eyes as far as what type of waste we get in the community. In general, we all know that about 50% of our food, 58% or more of our food that we produce in Canada goes to waste. We know that over $51 billion of our food goes to waste, and meanwhile, one in four kids go to school hungry, as well as 28% of our community members of people are food insecure. So, with that background, I want to just kind of give you an idea of what we have been doing. We intercept waste in its already waste form. So, as much as a lot of people kind of when they get to us, they kind of ask us what they can do in their home to prevent waste. We have those too. We can give them those stats as well. But what we try to do is to kind of bring to the realm that everybody that's come in touch with us with, whether it's through our private dining or just through speaking, what how much food is out there, what can we do to it, and what we have been trying to do to not only divert that food but also advocate for a more circular economy. So yeah, so Reroute is started basically right around the end of COVID. We kind of started thinking about what we can do to keep this community meal going. Right around that time, we were trying to basically just trying to figure it all out. We make our own money. We don't have any. We don't get any assistance from the government. Turning away 450,000 meals since COVID, and as well as 11 tons of food from landfill since then. So yeah, we do that by giving away 1,500 meals every single week to 6 to 7 different charities in the downtown core. We target mostly the vulnerable community, which is the women, and as well as BIPOC and LGBTQ plus community. And yeah, so the reroute was born out of, hey, what the hell are we gonna do? It's we realized that we fell into this niche of being a stopgap of being able to turn away a lot of this food into meals for the community. So we started it's a small, essentially a social enterprise that we are thinking about turning into a nonprofit, but we're a little bit hard headed in the sense of, hey, circular economy is here to stay. So what we do with the same meals and the same vegetables that we would be getting from suppliers like Vancouver Food Runners, as well as local suppliers such as Yen Brothers Food Service. We portion it in a small amount that they can then buy it from our website, and hopefully pretty soon in different grocery store that they can essentially support 10 meals just by buying one of our packages, and as well as other things that we're going to come up with in the near future that we're developing, such as pickles, sauces that's shelf stable, and other things like that. Next slide, please. So our biggest challenges is especially in Vancouver, where rent in itself is already such an high demand. It really is a big hurdle. Industrial spaces, not only that it's expensive, it's also increasingly scarce because there are so many squeeze that's happening, whether there's housing crisis and as well as just in general the competitive nature. We've always asked ourselves what other industry or what other partnership out there can help us with moving forward with what we're trying to do, and how we can survive and exist, and in a way we exist because we are trying to be out there for that person, or for that partnership to come alive, so to speak. And also access to market. Bringing a new brand to the market is very competitive, very challenging. There's a lot of stigma around surplus food. Most people think that we're diving into the compost bin, but really the stuff that we see, the food that we see is sometimes better, if not, it's better than what we would be ordering from our suppliers because of the amount of food that is out there. What usually happens, especially at that level of like that industry level, is that because it's by barcode, no matter what, things are coming from California. Your cases of strawberry, they need to make room for that, so that gets shifted away elsewhere. And luckily, places like, Yen Brothers divert those kind of things to us. And so yeah, questions we ask ourselves is like, how could we get into the hearts of those businesses that we're trying to sell? I've had meetings with many different marketing strategists or marketing departments of, like, let's say Fresh Street Market. I just had a meeting with them yesterday. They're not quite sure what to do because it's such a new thing. Circular food, specifically, it's such a new thing, and it's such a touchy thing with the stigma, with everything that's happening. It's not quite there yet, but we do. I do feel that, like, we are one of the ones that, like, pushing that boundaries in Vancouver. We are actually part of Circular Food Innovation Lab that is started by the city of Vancouver along with Emily Carr Design Institute. And we have that meeting every week, and we're trying to push that agenda. Next slide, please. So yeah, essentially, Reroute it's kind of like a 1-for-1 community, a 1-for-10 community meal program where they can not only support us, but it also encourages more more dialogue on why waste happened, where it happened, and even nowadays we're getting more traction in our catering where we can essentially show the type of foods. So we have this thing called on a surplus garden board where we show off all of the pickles and the vegetables that we would get, and we would preserve it so that everybody can see at that state what type of vegetables and other things are being thrown out. So that is our mission, not just to not just to survive, but also to bring awareness to the waste, and as well as what we can do and the type of businesses we can support that are trying to do something about it. Next slide, please. We partner with Vancouver Food Runners. They are really the key to our success. They're able to find various amounts of surplus for us, but they also, once we cook the food in our kitchen, they will bring it back to the 6-7 different charities. They'll portion, those charities will then portion it, and either it goes to the SRO, which a lot of times we know that there's only a microwave or a hot plate there, or they'll actually heat it up for their clients to be able to have that one dignity in a bowl. Is kind of what we do. We say every time they have our food, we take pride in that. But still, even with places like Vancouver Food Runners, we're running into a lot of challenges. Again, food recovery is just not sexy. It's not like a technology of turning bottles into t-shirts. That's really cool, right? But to me, I find that's it's a little nerdy. I try to think that I make people like chefs that are dressed up make it look cooler. So that's another thing that we try to do out there. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I guess this is kind of like a call to action. If anyone has seen or if anybody knows of anywhere that there are space that we can try to acquire, our main goal is to have all of the things that's happening within Vancouver into one building where we can procure surplus foods, sort it out so that we can either use it for school or use it for right away give it to the food bank, or things that need to be cooked in that same building. It gets cooked, it gets cooled down, it gets portioned, it gets to the people that need it the most, and also we can make the money that we need to in that same space part of all of that infrastructure. But we've actually seen what it could be. There's a place called Mustard Seed Street Church in Victoria where they have a massive facility that are already doing this, all the way up to actually turning farm vegetables into, like, they have a facility that farmers can then take their crops and be able to either preserve it or to cook it so that they can also make money during the winter months where there's no crops available. So that's our end goal. I'm not sure. There's another slide. Next slide. Yeah, there's. But yes, so, of course, the bureaucratic hurdles. Again, because it's something new, there's not any. Well, at least every time I ask and like I said, I'm working with the city of Vancouver Circular Food Innovation Lab. Every time I ask, they just say, as long as you're doing the right things, you're allowed to do it. Maybe. So it's not really. There's not a regulation that says you can't. You can, because it's so new, I think, and also because of all the bureaucratic hurdles that happens especially in BCH level food inspection. They're already tapped out, and what I think happens is they sometimes just put a blanket rule on everything, and a lot of times the people that get hurt are the ones that are pushing the envelope, so to speak. We'd like to have it so that there's just, California, you go, not to say that that's what we're going to do, but like California, you can go and sell tacos on the side of the street. Here, any businesses like that must go through so much to be able to start that. Next slide, please. So yeah, challenger solution. Yeah, food waste, food security, redistribution. Those are what we're trying to achieve in that one food hub. Vancouver has already kind of floated the idea. I'm working with the city manager for Vancouver to to start a, a smaller version of a food hub in the downtown east side, and hopefully that's a start. But I still think that with the vast amount of food waste out there, surplus out there, even all those stats that I said earlier, in Vancouver, we may be only 8% of that waste that can be recovered is what we think we like, as far as the stats that we have. That we're not even scratching the surface. But so I think that if there's a facility, if there are more circular food economy businesses, the more, like, I think the more that we're going to be able to turn all those away. I think that's it. If there's any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, that was a great presentation, Chef TJ. I also just wanted to add that last year we had a event in Vancouver and I wasn't able to attend, but the rest of the team did. And I think you catered the event and everyone said it was incredible, delicious, and all like fully repurposed food. So really incredible to see your work here. And yeah, I had a question. Do you know of any other organizations in like Vancouver that are doing something similar?
So in Vancouver, pockets of it's already happening. People like even the soup kitchens and people that are providing meals for uh, um, the unhoused are already turning it away. There is, as far as food economy, there are some that are making. I know Sustainable is making bread and milled flour through barley and brewery waste. Peco Produce is partnered with Fresh Prep, that they basically, any of their surplus that you can purchase for lesser amount. But as far as food in general, even a place like how I feel, Goodly is one of the godfathers. Art Phillips, in this surplus food industry. I still think they had to go through, because of the regulations. I don't necessarily think they are doing this exact same model anymore, but I think that they're able to use some surplus, but not to a point where, for us it's 90%.
Right. And yeah, it was, yeah, space in Vancouver, definitely a huge challenge. Have you considered, or maybe you've already considered this, but are there any frozen meals that you kind of like, meals that you make with surplus food and then freeze them for, resale at a later time, just kind of eliminating, making room for more food that you can process?
Yeah, so what we find is the frozen meal aisle on any specialty grocery store is a very competitive market. So our next step is to try and see what we can do as far as non-perishable, like maybe having sauces that are bottled and things like that. The problem that we are getting into is the labeling is very rigorous.
Mhm.
So anything that you need to sell, at least in the grocery store, has to have the exact same ingredients. And that just doesn't work with what we do, right? Because we get the surplus and we put everything in there. So it might be broccoli tomorrow. The sauces may stay the same, but like the ingredients are not quite the same. And because of that, we have not really tried too much, hard to get into the grocery stores, only the smaller specialty stores.
Got it.
Mhm.
Great. Do any of our other participants have any questions for TJ?
I was going to ask about his burden for food safety and also for the labeling requirement, which he already responded partially for the labeling. But for the food safety, how would you be able to manage it since you are going to use already close to expiry date? Do you have any like a plan, or how do
Yeah.
you?
So, uh, and so this is kind of what we argue about, right? So we because we sorry because we know that food safe handlers are given the go ahead to be able to handle food. It's like when you open your fridge, and even though something is not supposed to expire next week, or first of all, expiration is not, it's the best before thing. So let's just say a vegetable, right? Like a vegetable for some reason is withered away. You're not going to use that because you as a person will not feed that to your child or to yourself, right? So it's the same thing as when we get these vegetables. uh, we as food handlers have have the training, and as well as the proper safety measures. We have uh, cooking procedures. We have cooling down logs. We have cooking logs. So it's the same thing as when we're cooking for our catering, right? So it's the same thing as when we're cooking for. So we have all those logs. Those are all done, and as well as when we're picking, like I said, some of these vegetables are sometimes better than what we would get. But even then, like as soon as we see that that's fitted away, that's not usable. We don't. So it's the same. So that's kind of what we argue with this, maybe not the city, but that is kind of like, well, we're food safe handlers. We pass all the tests that you wanted us to pass. We know that we can use certain things, and then especially with best before dates, most people think that it's actually expiration dates. It's actually not. We know uh, with that, obviously, there's certain things you can't use, like dairy and other things. But really, we know that the only thing that really expires are food formulas, and as well as formulas for seniors. Um, so with saying that, like we feel that if a food service handler uh, is trusted to cook all these things, they should be also be the stopgap for any of that, and as well as obviously all of the logs that you need to have to be able to run a business, which is what we do on a daily basis. Hope that answers the question.
Actually, I don't taste any organic. I always use to the end point through different type of cycling. But I
Mhm.
was thinking that how do you get those when you get any different type of product? Do you already have a plan what to do with it, or it just come up to your mind at the spot?
So we, much like when I was running the hotel, I have like other sauces that I have like I'll always have tomato sauce, cream sauce. It's like a curry type of sauce, and as well as I guess sweet soy kind of sauce. So we always have those in our repertoire, so that when we get whatever it is that we get, sometimes we'll get like bok choy, so we know okay that can run a curry or sweet soy sauce. So that's kind of our system, so that right away we can process all those vegetables and again like just kind of compartmentalize it. This is gonna go bad tomorrow, or this is gonna wither away tomorrow. We gotta cook it, or this can go here. That can stay a little longer. So that's kind of our system.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
Chef
you.
TJ. Yeah, that was great
Thank you.
insight into circularity in the food systems. And yeah, we
Yeah,
hope you overcome all of your space and bureaucratic hurdles and
yeah,
like continue on with, forwarding the circularity in the food system. So good luck with
yeah.
that. And yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. Let me know if any of you need any help from me, and I'll be around. Thank you.
thank you so much. All right, and just like that, we are at the end of our webinar. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we've got two more webinars coming up. One on October 17th, the next Thursday, and then another one the week after. And you can find the registration links on southfraser.com/workshops. And yeah, if you're interested, you can sign up for free at bcgreenbusiness.ca. We've got 15 spots left. And yeah, you can get in touch. Feel free to send us an email or find us on this website and here are our socials. So thanks again to everyone for joining today. I hope you learned something new from the presentation. And yeah, look forward to seeing you maybe for the next webinar.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. And thank you, TJ.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.